Welcome to the Fasting Podcast, Wow, Wellness and Optimal Weight. I'm your host, Julie Phillips, certified natural health professional, bringing you episode 114, Insulin, Weight Loss, and Fasting. What about insulin? Well, insulin's the peptide hormone secreted by our pancreas, allowing sugar to enter the cells so the cells in the mitochondria can create what we call ATP energy. Adenosine triphosphate is like the fuel that runs the whole body. So insulin's very important. Insulin also, on the other hand, unlocks the fat cells to store fat, the hormone of lipogenesis. When insulin is high, it can't take the energy from storage, the body. When insulin's low, the body's capable of burning fat through metabolism or exercise, and exercise is really lesser than what you burn with your metabolism typically. When insulin is far too low, the hormone called glucagon aids in the balancing of the insulin levels. That was a lot to take in. Many people do have what we call insulin resistance. And that's where you can picture that put your hands over your ears and say, too much sugar, I'm tired of this, I'm not going to listen anymore. So that's called insulin resistance. And we are going to talk about the signs and solutions. But another factor in insulin resistance is eating the terrible fats, the trans fats, the hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated fats, and not eating enough of the good omega-3 fats affects negatively the cell membrane, so they're not as able to do insulin sensitivity and let the insulin come in to bring that sugar in to make energy. Per the Center for Disease Control, up to 90% of people with prediabetes don't know that they have insulin resistance. So it's important to know the signs that we're going to talk about and contact your doctor if you have some of these. Eating too many carbs or just eating frequently for a long period keep insulin levels high. And if insulin is high and the calories are reduced rather than burning stored fat, the body decreases the metabolic rate, operating slower, so you might even feel cold or a little weak. Really, it's a very important hormone. Insulin and how many carbs you're eating can dramatically affect that. So we want to be good to our metabolism, and we want to burn stored fat if we have too much of it around. Insulin resistant develops if either too much insulin is circulating in the blood, or you have excess inflammation, or too much fat is stored in the pancreas and liver. Excess insulin can negatively affect insulin resistance, inflammation, fat storage, as we discussed, cognitive decline, blood pressure, cholesterol, oxidative stress, which ages us, liver detoxification pathways, estrogen and testosterone levels. So we don't want to have too much insulin going on. Insulin resistance can also result in sleeplessness, which can affect the hormones of leptin and ghrelin, which tell our bodies when we're hungry and when we're full. Insulin resistance, if gone unchecked, can lead to prediabetes, diabetes type 2, which used to be called adult onset, and now the children even get it, type 2B, which includes an autoimmune component. Type 3 affects the brain, so it's kind of like diabetes between the ears. The brain, and Alzheimer's is referred to as type 3, and there's a previous podcast we did on glycation, so you would want to check that out, and the mitochondrial nutrients might be helpful really with any of these. Then there's a gestational for when you're pregnant. Now, type 1 is different. It's an autoimmune disorder. It used to be called child onset, but apparently now adults can get this also. Type 1 is where the pancreas is being attacked, and even possibly the insulin receptor sites are being attacked by our own immune system. Now, there are some people that get these very low dips in the blood sugar. Their doctor says, oh, you have hypoglycemia. Maybe they get faint or weak or grouchy if they don't eat soon. That can also head them down the diabetes track as well. So all of these are signs of needing to take care of your cells, your carb, sugar intake, and your pancreas. So let me list some possible signs for you. Being overweight or having a tendency for being overweight, especially around the middle. Difficulty losing weight, large appetite, craving sweets after a meal, and eating sweets doesn't fully relieve the craving. Feeling more tired after meals, frequent thirst and urge to urinate, brain fog or difficulty concentrating, hormone issues, acne, skin pigmentation issues, skin tags, high blood pressure or high triglycerides, a sedentary lifestyle, sleeplessness or sleep apnea, food sensitivities, smoking, excess inflammation, substantial use of steroids for too long, and something called acanthosis nigricans, which is dark skin patches in folds of the skin. You can get a copy of these slides at our website. We'll tell you at the end. Now, what about the test that they have available for insulin resistance? Doctors normally do not test for insulin resistance, but here are some tests that are used to determine if someone has prediabetes or diabetes, so that's kind of a clue. And the first one is, they nickname it the A1C test, but it's really HbA1c test. There's another test called fasting plasma glucose, FPG. There's one called oral glucose tolerance test, OGTT, and a random glucose test. So these are a lot of tests that typically don't get run except the A1C. Most doctors order an FPG test or an A1C test if they're specifically looking for prediabetes. Some doctors may use the OGTT, but it's more difficult to administer and it is expensive. The FPG and the OGTT both reflect your blood glucose levels at the time of the test. However, the A1C test looks at your average blood glucose levels with that glycation over the past 3 months. So it's more typical of what you've been doing for the last several months. A1C is less accurate, but I like that it's showing you a trend over a period of time. So it might be best to get an A1C test if you're concerned, plus either the FPG or the OGTT. Now, interestingly, Walmart.com has an A1C self-test for before and after. You can actually prick your own finger. I think it's around $69, so very affordable. If your A1C is 5.4 or lower, maybe around 4 or something, that would be dynamite. But if it's higher than, let's say, 5.6, you might really want to be concerned. So now let's talk about some possible solutions. Let's get to basics first. One concept you could use, of course, eating all natural and organic whenever possible, is to do a clean, balanced keto, which you would check out episode 16. I am definitely not in favor of dirty keto or the extreme clean keto. They're too far to the extremes and really can be harmful. We've done previous episodes on that. But I would eat all natural and lower net carbs, subtract the fiber, and check out the glycemic index and the glycemic load. Also, I would do a longer fasting window for a period of time. For example, an 8-hour eating window where your body can rest for 16 hours, or a 6-hour eating window that I like better, maybe from noon to 6 o'clock, where you have an 18-hour for everything to rest and recover, and burn off stored fat, by the way. I would definitely think about avoiding snacking and grazing. There was actually a study of 54 type 2 diabetics that ate 2 meals a day compared to 6 meals a day with the same exact food and calories. And the group that did the 2 meals a day lost 8 pounds and improved their sensitivity. The people that had the 6 times a day, they actually only lost 5 pounds compared to 8. So I really like the 6-hour eating window with 2 meals a day. Soluble fiber is extremely helpful for the insulin resistance. Chia seed, flaxseed, they can slow the absorption of glucose, decreasing the likelihood of becoming insulin resistant. And we did a whole episode on fiber where it does so many other things. Plant-based protein, amazing. I have many years of experience where plant-based protein, like a protein powder, high quality, I'm not a fan of the wheys and the soy, I especially am not in favor of. But ideally, if you have some good omega-3 in there, would be really, really good in helping to avoid the insulin resistance and helping how the blood sugar is managed in the body. If you want to go into the fishes, good quality salmon, wild-caught fish, grass-fed, not the kind that are mass-produced on a farm. And omega-3 fats, as I said earlier, are very crucial for the cell membrane health and insulin sensitivity, but they're also very anti-inflammatory. And the typical American diet is very high in omega-6, but not enough omega-3. Also, what about ingredients? Ginger is dynamite to help with insulin sensitivity. So is cinnamon, magnesium's important, curcumin, glutathione, berberine, optimal vitamin D levels, anti-inflammatory nutrients in food, and fermented foods that have the friendly flora. Digestive and gut health are very important for insulin sensitivity. And we did a whole episode on our favorite digestive and gut blend. It also has minerals and chromium for the best form of blood sugar. So you can look up that previous episode if you're interested in that. Stress reduction, stress management, deep breathing. These are things that can help it, believe it or not. High quality, plentiful, deep sleep, which also, as we said, can help your leptin and ghrelin hormone balancing. Increase resistance training workouts. And there's some nice websites online. If you don't go to a gym, you can do those online. I have one that I like if you feel like emailing me out. Molecular hydrogen, which is referred to as H2, very valuable for this. And it's a selective antioxidant. It's anti-inflammatory. I personally have been an agent for the best molecular hydrogen water machine that makes it super pure and creates a lot of molecular hydrogen for probably now about 7 years. And the website for that is on the slides. It's wowh2water.com. Mitochondria nutrients. There's a clinical study of 767 Asian diabetics within 90 days of doing nothing but taking 3 teaspoons a day of a natural mitochondria nutrient powder. 90.2%, 90.2, saw a change to normal or near normal blood sugar levels without changing their diet, exercise, and there were no side effects reported. Insulin sensitivity can lower inflammation, aid in fat loss, that's a good thing, lower sugar crashes, reduce the risk of disease, and lower the risk of cognitive decline. Check out our website where you can find these slides, www.jpwowprograms.com. Please refer others to our podcast and YouTube. And the YouTube has all of these slides built into it, by the way. And if you would like questions or feedback or things that I prefer to use, contact me, Julie, at jpwowprograms.com. Stay positive, focused, and determined, because where the mind goes, energy flows.